Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the shit show. There's always tons of shit. That's want to say thank you to everybody for joining me tonight. I want to say thank you to Emperor 1G. Thank you for joining me to be on the
you're
panel.
very welcome.
Thank you so much. And Orange Hat, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Ruben, thank you so much for joining me tonight to talk about a bunch of shit.
Just kidding.
But tonight I want to open it with this one thing I thought was very interesting. So let me get it started here. I'm sorry I'm still slow, but getting better, I think. So here we go. This is what I want to open with. I'm going to make it bigger because that's why the show's called Squat Busters. You guys ready? Here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved in with the squatter until they left.
Oh, wait.
Now using the
Gotta start at the beginning. I'm sorry.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee met with Flash Shelton, who calls himself the squatter hunter.
Is this a growing problem?
I think that it's a growing problem like anything else.
When a squatter took over his mother's house, Flash had her lease the home to him, and then he moved in with the squatter until they left. He's now using the same tactic at other homes.
I would have had a right as a leaseholder to go in, move in on him, put cameras on, and eventually lock him out, and that I could force him to civilly try to fight to get back into a property that he couldn't prove that he had a legal right to be in.
Experts advised always getting an attorney to navigate legal evictions, but warn it can be costly, take several months.
Squatters are looking for an opportunity, and if they think a property is not being maintained or visited, they may make attempts to enter that property that they have no rights to enter in.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee met with Flash Shelton, who calls himself the squatter hunter.
Is this a growing problem?
Okay. So, stopping that. All right. But the thing is, it's sad that in our country that you can pay your taxes and your rent and your water and your electricity, and someone can come and squat in your house over the weekend while you're gone on a trip, and you have to get a lawyer to get rid of them. Who would have ever thought that would happen to us in the United States of America?
Well,
So
pathetic leadership leads to pathetic problems.
It's not a new problem. That's just it. It's becoming a new problem to a lot of people because now it's making its way to the internet. People are actually hearing about it. But this has actually been going on for years. This is if you've been in the realty game for a while, this is nothing new. I mean, there's a lot of states, California, New York, until recently Florida, a lot of them, they had things like this, either nothing on the books to address it or actually have squatters' rights. But this isn't a new problem. It's just becoming a more fashionable problem.
The one thing I tried to look up, but I couldn't really get a single number, it was like all over the place, was how many days somebody has to be in your property to be considered a squatter. I mean,
Depends
is
on
it
the state.
an hour?
Yeah, states depend.
Depend.
30 to 90 days would be the average, but it depends on the state and locality.
The thing is, I've never heard of anything like that in my lifetime. I mean, I just
Most
never.
of these laws were in place for people who are actual renters, actual legal renters that have been paying money. And then they call back and they're saying, well, I've got 90 days to move out. Well, no, motherfucker, you don't, because you're not a paying customer. You never were. Your name's not on the lease. You didn't actually rent anything. You showed up with your raggedy ass dog, your 6-pack, and a blanket. Well, it doesn't make you a renter. However, a lot of states simply don't have anything on the books. So in the absence of anything else, they fall back on you have 90 days to get rid of them. You have to get a lawyer. You have to file something. And it's a great aggravation. And you're right. It's mind-numbing that in 2024, enough common sense isn't there to say, you don't belong there, buddy. I think this guy's brilliant. If this works for him, I could see it become a cottage industry for a lot of people making small businesses, going around saying, hey, hire me. I'll get him out of there. I love it.
The fact that his mother made out a lease for him to let him lease the property from her, and him just showing up to be able to put new locks on, whatever to keep them from being able to come back in, was the way to cover their ass when it came to them being able to sue, and for them to have to prove that they had a lease or that they had a reason and a right to be there. So why does that work for him to do that for his mom when a normal person, let's say they went on a 3-week trip, around the United States in their RV or whatever, and they left their home, but they still had the electricity, everything's in their name, and then someone was to come in and sit there. Why isn't that considered breaking in anymore?
The irony isn't lost on me that this guy had to do it the legal way.
I know, but why? What changed to make it not illegal for someone to break into your house?
But for
liberal laws and leadership.
But for me, the weirdest part is the fact that she is the home owner. It's her home. She has a title in the home. And if she did, then she basically made a lease for her son to rent the place.
Yeah.
I thought the owner would have more rights than the actual person who was renting it. But
the people that were in it weren't renting.
Correct. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
You got 3 different parties. You got the owner, it's your home, you bought it. If you don't pay the mortgage, you get repossessed. If you're a renter, you have a lease, then you can go and say, hey, you have to kick me out, this is that. But if you're a squatter, you have no documentation. That's the least the thing. So then Orange Hat, you are right in the sense that in 2024, our laws are upside down to the fact that somebody that can go into just not an abandoned home, but they say it's an abandoned home, or most of these squatters basically are people who will do like the Airbnb sometimes. If someone goes to an Airbnb, gets there, and then they can squat. And that's happened. Or if they can check the rolls for anybody who's passing away or sick or in a hospital or whatever. They've done that. This is part of an organized crime per se, or organized scheme that people do these things. And that the fact that we don't have protections for the innocent people who obey the law, this is antithetical as the idea that you have people who say that we should not have the Second Amendment and that's basically take away guns when a shooting happens. So then just take away all cars when an accident happens. It's the same retarded aspect. This is just not making any sense.
I know.
This is why.
One of the things that really bothers me about it is what happened from when even 14 years ago, I'd say, when somebody would walk into your house or bust the window open, unlock the door or whatever, go in, sit down, make a sandwich or whatever, and then they don't want to leave. Well, when you'd come home from work and you try to go in and there's someone in your house, you'd call 911. Or you walk up to the door and there's a broken window, you call 911 because somebody broke into your home. Right. That was illegal. And you'd call the cops. They'd come and they'd arrest the guy. Now they come and they say, well, we can't do anything because they don't want to leave. It's like, what the fuck? I mean,
or better yet, that it all started with the first time that I heard something that was ridiculous is when somebody broke into a house and then the guy that in the house didn't have a gun, but just tackled the guy, beat him up, and because he was robbing the house. And then they allowed that guy to sue the homeowner for beating him up. You were robbing the place, but they allowed it. So this is what I'm saying.
What if the same thing like you just said, someone breaks in, let's say I'm asleep in my bedroom and my kid is asleep in their room, right? This person comes in and I hear something, in the night, and I get up and I go in the kitchen, they're eating in my kitchen, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm lucky I didn't have my gun or whatever, because maybe it was my kid in the kitchen, right? And so I call 911, the cops come and they say there's nothing they can do about it. But the guy could have killed me and my kid.
Well,
but now I can't do anything. I have no rights in my own house that I pay taxes for, but pay for the electricity, the water, and all that. What rule? Why do I not have any say anymore in my own home?
Well, I know you're saying that scenario, but this is where Orange Hat says it's by jurisdiction. So in Arkansas, that wouldn't happen. People would know, and they actually had that one sheriff that in Florida. had mentioned it because, again, the case that happened in New York a few weeks ago, where the lady went to go to the house and the guys were in there. She's the owner, and the cops were called and they arrested her because she was trying to get her house back.
I know that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it this week, especially when I saw this gentleman's video and that his way of fixing it to help him get his mother's home back. But the thing is, in my state, I'm pretty lucky because I have a setup with my government and with my police and my sheriff's departments that as a homeowner or a renter or whatever, I have a lease in a building that I'm renting, I have rights still.
Right.
But what's sad is there's other people in other states, and I feel bad for them because this can happen to them, and then it's money out of their bank account that's taking food from their families and gas in their car to go to work to pay for a lawyer to keep what they already own from someone who owns nothing.
Right.
Why is this happening in what's supposed to be a free country?
But again,
and has a constitution?
But again, you're attributing something that's happened to you, but you're in a state that will not tolerate that. And back to what I was saying before, but the situation happened in New York City. That likewise, that had the sheriff that came out in Florida and said that if someone breaks into your home, you can shoot the person and get them out of your house. So again, this bottom line here, the answer to your question of why this is happening, it is people voting in policies in states or in jurisdictions that allow this to happen. California, New York, Washington State, Oregon, all these blue states, blue city regions. Well, these will happen. This will continue to happen to protect those who break the law blatantly and do things of this nature and are protected by the ACLU and other entities that are out there that are trying to, even congressmen, people that are doing this, that are helping out these people. And it came out of late. It came out that the Biden administration is flying people to Texas and to Florida on purpose.
Yeah, I know.
But the mainstream media is going to basically say, no, it's basically Texas sending people to New York and all that stuff. No, they want people. And you see what's happening. It's a breakdown of a system. And again, the only thing we can do, number one, is to, where you live, where your home is, start to get involved in the local government, pick the right people in the local government, pick your right representative, and I say kick them all out. Kick everybody out that's out there. Every 2 years, it's time for a clean sleep. Just because this is going on too far long to everything that's going on. It's really horrible. So the answer to your question is yes, this is terrible. I mean, this is a good thing that he's doing for his mother and doing it for other people. And again, get out of these blue states right now. Or if you want to stay there, if you want to change it, you have to get involved. I mean, it's no longer where you can say it's not my problem. It is your problem if you decide to live in a place and make it your home.
So, Emperor, do you have anything you want to say about this before I go to the next subject?
I think part of the problem is this blindsided a lot of people because a lot of states and a lot of areas don't have laws that address this at all. Because again, until it becomes a problem, no one thinks of it. It defies common sense. You don't move into a place you don't own. And if you do, you get thrown out on your ear. So I think in some places, this is just, laws needing to catch up to crime and to, Ruben's point made earlier. And, Orange Hat to when he said, this is weak leadership. This is left leadership. And it is. Because they want to be champions of the downtrodden, the people who don't have anything, and against those evil landlords / homeowners. Because that is what's happened to the American dream, ladies and gentlemen. It's not anymore to own a house, because if you do, you're the 1%. You're the problem. Really, it's defies common sense with anybody who has a sense of justice or law. And I just posted this other one here. This squatters lawsuit that went out in New York City. It was just completed. Basically, these two people moved into
Is it in
900,000.
private chat?
Yes.
Okay, hold on, and let me get it, and I'll.
Yeah, that's the one. The lady was. That's the one with the lady.
Let me share this real quick. Oh,
These
I
poor
can't.
bastards.
It's so sad.
It has ads on it, and I can't take that off on my thing.
All right, well, go to Fox News. It's on the front page of it if anybody wants. I'll just give you the long version.
I can copy
with
this
notes.
link and share it in the chat.
That's fine. Anyways, these two people move into a $900,000 duplex that another couple had bought and were fixing up. They moved in there. They said, "Oh, we've got a couple luxury mattresses in here and a flat screen TV, and here's proof that we have this. Here's a $4,000 rental agreement showing that they've got a deposit. Oh, and here's a Shake Shack receipt that we had Uber drivers drop to us for $25.27, proving that we live here." Then the balls to sue the lady who owns the place. And then they don't show up to court when it turns out the documents they did give were fake.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh my,
this poor lady has already had to hire a lawyer, have court costs, go to court. These fucks don't even show up for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the absolute nerve to not just take over somebody's house, but then to use the court system and sue them and claim that the stuff already in the house was yours. So you can't afford to rent the place. You can't afford a lawyer. You can't afford the court documents, but you can afford 2 luxury mattresses, a massage table, a flat screen TV, $25 from the Shake Shack. By the way, who the fuck goes to a Shake Shack? If you're going to Uber Eats, at least get something decent. I mean, right there is crime. Anybody looking at this shit like, okay, clearly these people are squatters, because nobody with any kind of decent taste would get Shake Shack and have it delivered to a house. Somebody who has a $900,000 house ain't going to the Shake Shack.
Well,
right there.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's common sense, and that's what you said earlier, is that we're seriously lacking in that. And today, I mean, it just seems like it's nuts. I mean, it's a clown world when it comes to anything to do with our legal system and to get help, from anyone. So it's like, it's sad. But okay, well, the next thing I want to talk about is this. I think it's important. So let me pause it.
I am.
Wait, I want to pause it. I'm going to try to see if I can make it bigger, but I don't guess it'll get bigger.
Caesar. Julius Caesar of Rome.
I can't get it to get any bigger.
Scroll down.
All right, this is
there you go. Right,
didn't have a mustache.
Right there.
Yeah, let me play this. I want everybody to be able to see it. Okay, here we go.
I am Caesar. Julius Caesar of Rome, the emperor. I am also a female. Does anybody here believe that I am Julius Caesar? Anybody believe that? No? Of course not. It's ridiculous. I'm not Caesar. I'm not a woman either. I'm here as a father who loves his children, who loves his country. And I'm here to talk about this duty of a school board and the Department of Education. Your duty is to act in the best interest of children. It is to teach truth, not lies, facts, not fiction, biology, not a social agenda. As taxpayers, we deserve to have our children taught what we pay for. And it's not anyone's social agenda, whether it be right or left. It's about the children. It's about the children. And that's what we all love. And these children that are born into our custody, we have a duty to protect them. And we have a duty to nurture them to their own self-actualization when they can declare whatever sexuality they want to be. And we will love them no matter what it be. Doesn't matter. But engaging and facilitating gender confusion, gender dysphoria, is developmentally injurious to the mental and emotional capacities of children, especially elementary school students. So I'm here to call for the suspension of Murphy and the suspension of Principal Gallo for facilitating gender confusion and gender dysphoria in the Christopher McAuliffe Elementary School. I'd also like you to resign your seat for facilitating it as well. And I want you all to know you're all going to be famous. Now, with respect to the audience, I love that love. I give that love back. You know what I love? I love my children. I love my country. I love life, liberty, and happiness for all. That's what I love, okay? And if we can't get on board with that, we ain't going to have a country. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler, for your comments.
He's full of shit. This should not have been allowed. Caesar was never emperor in Rome. He was a dictator, and then they knifed him. He was never emperor. The rest of everything else is invalid. I don't even know why they're playing this shit. I'm not listening to this.
Well, I thought it was awesome. I thought he was brave to do that, to go up before his school board and tell them what he felt and how ridiculous all of this shit has been. And it's sad that it's taken this long, but I was proud to see that. I just
It's sad that he's out there promoting bad history. That is irresponsible. That is injurious to these kids. I mean, Caesar never had a mustache. I don't think he was that old. He was in his 60s when he died. He was never emperor. He sure as hell wouldn't have worn that for armor. And we're supposed to go ahead and take this guy's example?
Yeah, but
what are we even
really,
doing here?
I know, but really what blew me away in a way was blew me out of the sky, theoretically. Bad pun. This happened at the Krista McAuliffe Elementary School.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow.
So like, did you hear that? That's
another explosive event at the Krista
I know,
McAuliffe
exactly.
School.
Exactly.
The thing is that I wish more people. I know,
Krista McAuliffe
but
was the astronaut who perished on in the Challenger disaster.
Yeah, they got blown up. Yeah, she got blown up.
But again, all parody aside, Emperor's correct. No. On the historical aspect, but again, to go up there and say what he had to say, but then you saw the people in the back. Love wins. No, this is not about love anymore. This is about insanity. No, again, when gay couples want to get married, no, you're not going to get married. Civil unions, okay? Again, and it's the Overton window of all social norms, and the only not irony, but the only correlated point here is you had the fall of the Roman Empire because they did all this crazy shit too, where you had Elagabalus doing his things, Caligula doing his things. Now you've got the idiot that's the former vice president. That's the corpse in the White House doing all this crap with his daughter in the shower, and Hunter the way he is. It's just insane. People are going nuts, and people, if you accept this as normal. No, we're lost. It is a shit show.
Well, see, the thing is people are starting to not accept it, but not just that, they're starting to speak out. See, that's what I kept saying. I kept saying, where are all the people that are griping and complaining about this is happening in their school with their kids? When are they going to start standing up and saying, what the hell's going on? Because most parents, I'd say, more than half can't afford to send their kid to a private school. Okay. But they're probably already working 2 jobs. Who knows what they're doing at home? Maybe their disabilities or who knows what. But the thing is, they can't afford to pull their kid out and do homeschooling.
But that's the problem.
Well, I know it's a problem.
No. But you're going by what classically is wrong. 100 years ago, we didn't do this shit. There was no school like this. We didn't have this system.
10 years ago, there wasn't this shit.
Well, I don't believe in the whole education system is stupid. The fact that the Department of Education, when it was created, when Jimmy Carter did it was like 77, I thought it was around there. That's where they first screwed everything up. No Child Left Behind, all these different things, standardized testing, all this other crap, which I didn't have to do. And that's why I'm more intelligent than the other idiots that are out there today. They're not teaching kids shit. They're not teaching anything.
That's exactly what the parent just said. That's what the father said. But see, we've had to come this far before parents and people are starting to fight back.
I think there's a disconnect though with how you and I see, how you and I and Ruben and everybody else see things, and this is why. we see it every day. Every day when we're on Twitter or we're on Facebook or we're looking at Reddit or we're looking at, or going in our spaces, we're dialed into this thing. I mean, you asked a minute ago, why is it that parents, are lagging behind taking a firmer stance against this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them aren't aware it's going on. I mean, why are the kids doing this way? Okay, well, a lot of shows that TikTok is extremely influential when trying to pass on these things. Now, we can say the schools, are indoctrinating them. That's fine. And I think anybody listening to me that went to a public school will tell you, you'll learn more from your friends or things outside school than you will from the school itself. So the reason why parents aren't up in arms is because they aren't aware a lot of this is going on. They aren't aware that it's going on in schools. They aren't aware of necessarily everything that's going on online. And as the normies and the people who aren't perennially online like we are begin to become aware of these things, that's when you start to see pushback. It's like, oh, this is what's been going on? How long has this shit been happening? Why wasn't I not aware of this? A lot of it is very sinister, and a lot of it that flies under the radar. It isn't necessarily upfront and in your face about it, at least the smart ones. It's not necessarily about a private education versus a public one. It's not even necessarily about, the education system itself. It's the fact that a lot of the stuff is being, shown online to very impressionable people. They think this is what is cool. They think this is what will make them popular. And I think a lot of it is victimhood too. There's a lot of power in 2024 in being a victim of something. So the parents simply aren't aware to the depths of what's going on. When they become aware of it, most of them, and I do say most, you can call it the silent majority, you can call it flyover country, whatever, looks at this and says, okay, this is just stupid. You're not going to dress up as a guy. You're not going to cut anything off because you're not a girl. Knock it off. Go to bed. You've got school in the morning. Or they go to school board meetings. This guy obviously decided to embarrass everybody and make a very flashy and very unambiguous joke at the whole thing. Good for him. I understand the point he's trying to make. And it's a very impassioned speech. But unless he gets a lot more parents behind them, unless they start voting people out of the school board, unless they start going to meetings like this all the time, and most people don't, because we've got shit to do. We've got families to run. We've got houses to worry about. We've got jobs to go to. A lot of people aren't dialed into this all the time. And it's getting to the point where you have to be, because things are overtaking us at a rapid pace. And if you're not dialed into this at least a little bit, this is what happens. Parents who aren't aware this is happening are now playing catch up to events that have been happening for several years.
Yeah, I agree. I believe, and I say it a lot, it's up to the parents. I mean, to be a hands-on parent. When your kid comes home and they bring their backpack home and their lunch isn't eaten, let's say it's been 3 days and you notice your child's not eating their lunch, what do? Do you say, what's going on? Why aren't you eating your lunch? Where's your, why is your lunchbox always full? And then you find out the kid's getting snacks from someone else or whatever else, but you don't find out anything if you don't ever ask any questions. You know what I mean? If you don't make them do their homework or make sure they bring back their thermoses or their backpack and their jackets and whatever else, that's what a parent's supposed to do. So what do we have? Kids who just come home and leave and go back to school, and then their parents don't have a clue whether they're doing their homework or whether they passed a test or if they even studied. See, that's what I'm talking about. There's not enough parents that are actually involved going to things at their child's school or going to functions at their school or even going to parent-teacher conferences or anything to even know what's going on in the school. That's what I'm talking about. Parents need to be parents to their children when they're little, up until they're teenagers. By the time they're teenagers, hopefully you'll have some type of rapport with your child and they can tell you, hey, look what they're doing at our school. They're doing this or they're doing that. So you understand there's things are going on. And it's sad to me to see so many kids who have parents that are not involved whatsoever with their kid. They don't go to their class, play that they did or their musical or anything. They're not involved with the sports or anything that's going on at all in their child's school. And that's hurting our kids because the teachers and the schools now think, well, their parents aren't involved, so we'll take care of them. Just like what Hillary said when she was wanting to run for president. It takes a village to raise a child, because that's what we're doing.
What a dumb fucking cunt.
Into the government system.
That's what they want. They want to have that. And someone on MSNBC said it. The girl with the list, whatever her name, some retarded girl, said it. She basically said, "We have to say this is a shared community. We have to take these are our kids. We have to take care of them." Fuck off, you dumb bitch. No. The parents are the ones responsible for their children, but the way the system has been built, unfortunately, it used to be like my grandfather worked. And my grandmother stayed home. She raised the kids. My mother was a teacher. My father was in the Navy. He went up on the Navy. So then he would go away. I had to step up and help my parents. I did that. But when my mother had the children, she stayed home. And then she would go back to work. She was engaged in the aspect of every day what we're doing, because she was a teacher. She was a teacher leader, and that was what we did. And I was responsible enough to know, hey, and I do it all the time. Whenever I meet somebody, they have a child, and the first time I see them, it's usually after they come home from school. I even ask the kid, "What did you learn today? What you doing for homework?" I'm engaged, even though it's not even my kid. I'm engaged in what they're doing, and I basically do things like that, help them out. What are you doing? What are you trying to get accomplished? What did you learn? Not what are you retaining? And it's so important now. And even now, I'm going to do that whenever I do have a child, God willing, very soon. I'm going to be really engaged in that aspect of it. Everything. And I don't want my kid to go to school, public school, at all. Nope, not to do it.
Well, see, as long as you, as a parent, are able to secure a place for your child to go to school, whether it's at home, being homeschooled, or in another business, then you're taking responsibility to make sure your child is getting the attention it needs. But there's a lot of parents out there, even if they had means to do it, they're not, because they don't even care whether they're eating their lunch every day, or if they have early breakfast, or whether they're wearing tennis shoes and not wearing clogs on the day that they're supposed to have phys ed. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Hands-on parent caring about what's in their backpack or what's not in their backpack when they come home from school. Do they have notes from the teacher? You know, did they draw something that you want to hang on the refrigerator?
Yeah, but we were living the times we're living in now are more detrimental too. People are not coping with stress normally. You know, if you're dealing with something, you work on it, you get it done. If you have to have a drink or a smoke, cigarette or a drink or alcohol, then do that thing. That's whatever. Go exercise, do something productive. But nowadays, you have drugs, you have alcohol, you have other behaviors out there people are doing, addictions to technology, and even pharmaceutical drugs. Because every time I turn a TV on, or I don't have a TV, every time I see the TV going on, if I go out somewhere, it's every other commercial. Ask your doctor about this. Side effects includes death, this and that. And I'm going, are you insane? Why? And it's just a mentality of people, and the TikTok and all this stuff going on. It's all social engineering. Because the
grow up and do cocaine like an adult.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that we, as parents that aren't hands-on, we're not doing the things that we said we would do when we decided, I want to have a kid. I want to take care of a kid. I want to raise a kid. I want to be a grandparent one day. All those things that we said we were going to do, well, we're not doing it. Well, I did it, and maybe you guys did it, but other people are not doing it. That's why the schools and the governments of these cities and towns and states have stepped in and decided, well, the parents aren't doing it, so we have to. Okay. And instead of thinking about one kid, this one kid's autistic, or this one kid has bad reading skills, but they're good at science, or nothing like that, like the parent would do, the teachers are having to do it. And your teacher has 30 students in her classroom and she can't keep up because she doesn't know what to do specifically for each child, because this kid is slower than this kid, and this kid's really fast, whatever. And we're putting so much pressure on all that, they decided to start taking things into their own hands, and this is what we get for it.
Yeah, but they're not doing that.
Did you say throwing hands?
Taking to their own hands.
Taking it in their own hands, what I meant.
Okay.
That's what I
But
thought.
is that throwing hands? I'm like, did Janet really just use that term?
No.
They're throwing hands in schools. Children out of control.
What I mean is the fact that we have set ourselves up for this, basically. Just like this whole thing with the transgender stuff. We've gotten to where we give every kid a little trophy just for coming every day, or just for going to PE, or whatever, stickers and whatever else, applauding all the kids for every little thing, instead of saying, well, you didn't win today, but tomorrow if you practice, you'll do better.
Yeah.
Now I can hear my son's not going to school. He hasn't brought a trophy home at all. Maybe he's skipping class.
But what I mean is, I'm using
shit.
it as an example, is the fact that
I'll find out on
give
Monday.
rewards to kids that don't accomplish anything. And then a kid thinks, well, I don't have to accomplish anything, because as long as I do a bad job, I get more.
That's how I get through work.
We have kids graduate
one
from
of the
high school
biggest-
that can't read, write, or do math, all because of everything we've done through the years without taking.
But that's the whole. But that's
responsibility as
what
parents.
that was that's part of the plan. When they had standardized tests, the only thing they do now is they teach what's in the book, but the book has been changed where you don't even teach world history, don't teach American history.
And they're not
don't
even teaching cursive anymore.
Don't teach budgeting. Don't teach how to write. They're only teaching you how to fill out a form. How to fill out a
purposefully dumbing down the kids.
Yeah,
They're
but
doing
the
this
thing
on
is, we're
purpose.
going to have kids graduate that can't go to the museum and read any of our old documentation from our
even matter.
They're doing that on
They don't even know what it
purpose.
is.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. And until parents say, hey, I want my kids to learn something like this father did, how are we supposed to change it?
Are we saying that they are deliberately making our children dumber?
Yes.
For what purpose?
They're trying to.
For what
They're
purpose?
trying to.
The purpose
Because
is
they
because they
want all
want
the
them
people
dumb
to
enough
have
to
to
believe anything.
Depend on the government. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll let
They
you.
want them to.
Nope, the government got him. They knew he was about to explode the whole thing. They took him out.
He froze.
They did.
Press F in chat for Orange Hat.
No, Orange Hat's gone. He's
Oh,
coming
no.
back.
I'm sorry.
No, he'll come back. FBI.
Don't threaten us.
No, you can help.
Anything
I'm not with
more.
these guys. If anybody from the Feds are watching, I
use
thought
my
this was
real
about
name.
Ghostbusters, and that's why I'm
That's
here. I'm not
awful.
with
After
these
me, buddy.
guys.
Come after me. I don't care.
Go
No,
after
I'm-
him. I'm a nice
come-
guy.
Yeah, I don't know this guy.
Biden 2020. What is the year? 2024.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, well, since he's
300.
frozen, I'm
He
going
did
to go ahead
nothing wrong.
and change it to the next thing, which is this. Another stupid thing that our government wants to spend all our money on that we don't need.
Are we
So
sure
here-
this is
you
real,
see
by
this?
the way?
Yes, it's real. This is in Tech Magazine or in Fast Company Magazine, but I saw it,
We
and
can't
it's
build a fucking train in California, but we're going to do it here.
it says that the train to space, it's an intermoon base express, and that they've already started paying this company. It's awarded under the Luna 10 initiative, which is exploring all sorts of out there concepts to
Well,
encourage
shit.
growth.
DARPA, no
Now
wonder.
go where? There's nobody there. It's like
It
the
doesn't
Simpsons, the
matter.
staircase to nowhere.
But they're wanting us to start getting things ready for when people are going to be on the moon.
So people can squat in my moon hut? And then what do I got to do?
I don't
do I
know.
gotta, like, vent it to like
Get 'em out of
atmosphere to
our
get them
house
out?
here on Earth. But I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was so stupid. But I want people to look this up, look up the train on the moon, and you will be able to find it. And it is real, and we really are paying for it.
Did you have Training the Moon on your bingo card? Just kidding.
No, I don't have that. But the next thing I want to talk about is going to lead us into the another thing that Emperor wants to bring up, and then after that we'll go on to the other things that Orange Hat, if he gets to come back. Let's see if he
come back, buddy.
Well, no, he just put a target on
There
their
he
back.
is.
I don't
There
know
he
I
is.
want to talk about anything right now.
I don't know, but yeah, I want to share this whole thing about what our government is doing.
By the way, are we really sure that is the orange hat? He was gone long enough they could have replaced him with anybody.
Yeah, it could be a clone now, but
I am now orange hat. I want to talk about
Chromebook.
how great
my Chromebook. Yeah.
Crashed.
Chromebook. Okay.
Chromebook. What the hell? Let's get here.
But
Okay.
you can
get an
Well,
iPad?
here is.
Yeah.
Here.
I'm on a
Okay, here
Chromebook.
is.
Yeah.
Today,
I want to show this. Let me. I'm trying to get it to go in
Oh,
and
God,
turn
here
it
we go.
up, make it bigger. But yeah, this is one reason why I don't know if I just don't think we're gonna make it. We're not gonna make it until January next year. But here you go.
Close your thing.
Today, the Biden administration announced that it's going to pull back its plans to refill the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. You know, they drained that to try and bring gas prices down earlier. Well, they've been trying to fill it back up, but now it is way too expensive. So they say we hit $86 today on the futures market. They say it costs too much, so we're not going to do it. And now is the time of huge geopolitical risk out there. So I don't know. This summer could be a tough summer if you want to drive somewhere. Today.
So which one of us was all saying that was going to happen? Bruce, remember Bruce was saying that they're going to fuck us over before elections. So we can't afford to go anywhere, because if you can't drive to work,
that's a very bad
you
strategic
don't have a job.
if that is what they're going to do.
That's what they want. They're trying to remember, I've been saying this for a long time, and I know people are laughing about it, but I have said they're trying to collapse our country from the inside.
So then the two-tiered plan here then, or actually three-tiered. Number one, don't fill up the reserve because it's too expensive. The gas prices will go up. Then if you can't drive anywhere, you stay home. Okay. Then on top of that, we have the bird flu exploding and all of these illness. Yeah, I know. And all of these other illnesses allegedly happening, measles, tuberculosis coming back. Who knows? They could say, well, it's too expensive to go. We have to issue, and for national security interest, we should have another lockdown. That's what you think's going to happen, Janet?
Yeah. I think I already told you, I don't think we're going to have elections at all. I think they're going to try to get Ukraine into NATO, okay, which is going to start World War III, and they want us up in the top because, we're the United States of America, and we have to be in every single war. Okay, yeah, but what I'm saying is this is what I said I think is going to happen. Then once they do that, get us in war, they'll say, well, we're during wartime, and we don't have the means, to do all this stuff. So we're just going to have martial law because people are going to start being chaotic in the street because they can't drive anywhere. They can't afford to buy anything, all this different stuff. And I think that he's going to end up saying we're not going to have elections.
So we don't have enough troops to go to war, but we'll have enough troops for martial law. Of course, we don't have any gas for the Humvees and the tanks to get anywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
This is bad idea.
Because they want us to be fighting in the streets. They want it's going to be 10 times worse than what we saw in the Summer of Love.
All right. I'm gonna take a bold stance and say that I don't think that is going to happen. I think that is
good.
Way off the beaten path. I will say that historically, it is usually very bad during election year when your gas prices go up. I think this is more in line with his push for the electric vehicle, which he put through legislation or tried ramming it through, 2 weeks ago, where they're trying to phase out most gas cars by 2030. That's the goal, or 2027.
Yeah.
I think this is
with a power grid that can't even sustain the little bit of electricity that we have now.
I think this is, considering the polling right now is either even or Biden slightly behind in a lot of the battleground states, a lot of which are fossil fuel states or car states. So I find this very odd that they would take this kind of stance, knowing that it's going to jack up prices, which are already far higher than they are normally, for gas prices leading into an election. We're going to have an election in November. I don't think we're going to have widespread rioting on the streets. I don't know that we're going to issue a lockdown based on the bird flu. I think that's a Hollywood type movie event happening. I can see why, after what happened last time, some of the more fringe people might think that's a possibility. I understand it. But this is a stupid move. One, I understand that it's too expensive to go ahead and redo the strategic oil reserve. Maybe that's why you shouldn't have released so much of it to the public before.
Why not open up our own drilling again?
Because that flies in the face of what everything he's done the last 3 years, because he has been beholden to the environmental
we
lobby.
have stuff already in place that we can be doing right now.
Everybody knows that, but that's not what's the debate here. He wants the electric vehicles.
About it? Did you hear
because
one?
They're not going to. They don't want to do that. They want you to buy the electric vehicles. They don't want to talk about drilling here.
Who can afford a $50,000 vehicle when they can't even buy gas for their little beater they already have?
They don't care.
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know why you think they would.
They're trying to collapse.
Yeah, I don't know what
our economy.
I don't know your argument, Janet.
Collapsing everything would only hurt them worse, because those elections will take place. And even if they don't win at the federal level, they're going to get slaughtered at the local level. And politics are local. You can do more for your community and your country winning in the city and winning at the state than winning at the federal level.
My state, I'll just use Arkansas. If Arkansas says, fuck you, we're having elections, and we set up everything, everybody's doing everything, and we're getting all our stuff, but nobody accepts anything that we give, because
nobody
10
accepts
other
elections now.
10 states, no, I mean, 10 to say 10, 20 states, the Democrat blue states say we're not going to have elections because of
then
whatever.
You'll have rioting in the streets.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Which is why it will never happen. They will never go into blue states and say, no more elections. Whoever's in now is like the Supreme Court. They're going to die in that spot, and we're not going to replace them. The corpse will continue to rule even after it is decayed and smells.
Yeah, but with everything that's going on with the J6ers and stuff just sitting in jail, we don't have Constitution right now. They don't care about you and me. They're letting people come in your house, and Walmart's firing people and saying they're going to hire illegals, and that they're going to even have lawyers for them.
Okay.
So that they can get jobs and go to court, whatever reason why they came over the border illegal. They're bringing people in, millions. I mean, 3 months ago, I talked about this on the show in Arizona, that they had already went over the amount of people in the whole state of Arizona. They'd already had that many illegals already go into this state.
Janet, do you care about the state of Arizona? I don't. The people that live in Arizona don't care about Arizona. But let me ask you this.
It affects our whole country. So yes, I do care. Okay.
Why do you think
everything that's happening in California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas is affecting everyone else in the whole country, because they're just coming over the border with measles and all these other diseases that we pretty much got rid of because we've all been vaccinated when we were kids for lots of different things that they're bringing in.
Okay, the wogs are coming over the border. I get that. My question is to go back to what you said a minute ago. Wait. Let's back up to what you said a second ago. Okay. You said that they're going to stop elections in the blue states, which will cause riots. No. How does that help them?
I said all the states.
All the states. So how does that help their point of view?
Because they're the same people stay in office.
Okay.
And they'll still keep doing what they're doing right now.
Which just can't say we're. So what is the excuse for suspending elections then?
They don't
have
a national level. Excuse. They don't have to have. Why? What have we been doing right now that's stopping them from doing anything that they're doing to the J6ers? Even though it's against the Constitution, they're still doing it.
Okay, so if people give a shit about the J6ers, something would have been done about it. The average person doesn't care, because to their point of view was, you went there, look around, find out. No. Hang on. You brought up a point. Let's go back to it. Okay?
I'm still talking about the same point.
But you're not giving it. You're kind of running over me. Let me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go back to what you were saying here. What is stopping them is the law. Everything they do, whether they want to or not, is still at least has a veneer of the law. Biden writes executive orders. He doesn't just wave a magic wand. He's not a king. He may act like one because the law, looked at a certain way, allows him to do that. The reason why they cannot suspend elections countrywide, aside from having a civil war break out immediately, is the fact that the law does not allow it. They can suspend it if they have a reason, because we think the polling is going to get blown up, because we think George Floyd's coming back from the dead and he's going to have a reunion concert in Lincoln Park. Things like that. You have to have a legitimate reason. A war.
In a war. World War III.
You brought up the Ukraine NATO thing. I know it's an offshoot, but real quick. I don't see how Ukraine joins NATO.
They're already talking about it right now.
They can talk about it all they like. They're talking about putting a train on the moon. I know that because we just covered that story. All right. This has about as much chance happening as Northrop Grumman putting a train on the moon.
Okay. So in next week, or let's say within the next month, they do that. What do you think is going to happen?
If they allow Ukraine into NATO, then you have your World War III by law, by treaty. All the NATO countries now have to fight the Russians.
You're gonna send me a message and say, "I guess you were right."
No. Janet, he's basically saying once Ukraine gets into NATO by law, World War III begins because Russia will have attacked a NATO country. So the instigator in the situation is actually NATO.
And we're not going to suspend elections.
Well, we're members.
All of a sudden we're at fight with the Russians.
Members of NATO.
I'm sorry.
And if we're in a law, and if we're in a war, they can suspend elections.
No, you can't. That's not the habeas corpus. You cannot do that. At no point in the history of the nation, even during the Civil War, when half the country fucked off to go do its own thing, did we suspend elections. Correct. Not during the Second World War did we suspend elections. Not during the First World War, where we have millions of soldiers overseas. Have we ever suspended elections?
I hope you're right. I'm praying that you're right, but I have to go back.
I am right, because there's no precedent for it.
But the reason that's the thing. That's what I don't know. Why would they? How would they do it? That's what I don't know. What's your thing? What's their thinking? World War III?
Yeah, I think World War III we'll be in
World Wars that had elections.
Okay, we're going to be in World War III, and then there's going to be people fighting in the streets because they don't have jobs, they don't have money. So there's going to be riots in all the big cities, and every single state has huge cities. Some of them have multiple ones.
The thing is that
so when that's happening, you can have ultra chaos. They're going to say we're not having the elections because it's too dangerous. They'll all be mail-in ballots if we do that, and that's even worse. And that means that
you want to know what's going to. You want to know what's going to stop or prevent World War III aside from NATO? The fact that we all have nukes. Believe it or not, MAD is a brilliant concept. It keeps every single world leader in a state of fear because they know that the second they push their button, everybody else pushes their button and they're dead. You are not going to have a freaking world war because everybody will fucking launch their nukes. And then nobody will win. You're literally talking about the end of humanity. Nobody is that suicidal. That is why there isn't going to be a world war. That is why there might be a civil war, but there's not going to be a world war. Now, if NATO actually brings Ukraine into a war, it will still, or the U.S. can do one of two things. They can back up Ukraine now physically with war, or they could say, you know what, we're done. You're on your own.
What about those that believe about the apocalyptic aspect on the Islamic side?
They're fucking retards.
But you have those that want to cause war to bring on the apocalypse. There are on both sides. There are even there are Christians who want to do this.
The thing is, if they do push it, then I believe that they should be the first ones sent over there to push it into that direction. If Ben Shapiro wants a fucking war, then he should march his fucking ass over there with his yarmulke still attached to his fucking head and put a gun in his hand and have him freaking in with the IDF.
I don't think the yarmulke will protect him from bullets, though, like a helmet.
I don't give a shit at this point because honestly, I'm sick of fucking Ben Shapiro and his fucking Daily Wire. There are a bunch of fucking retards that think they speak for every conservative. They don't. And honestly, when it comes to all of this shit with Ukraine and the Biden getting back to the main thing here, where we can't pay for our gas and our petroleum reserves, that is another reason why Biden should be impeached. If they actually gave a goddamn, my congresswoman included, Elise Stefanik, they're saying, oh, we have ample evidence to impeach Joe Biden. Then fucking do it.
Because it doesn't matter. Even if Congress did it, it wouldn't make a difference because we don't control the Senate.
Yes,
everybody who wants to say we need to impeach Biden, it's clouds in the sky, man. It's never going to happen. You want to get rid of him? You vote in November. That's your only.
You're not going to get him removed, but believe it or not, an impeachment goes on record. And believe it or not, that can actually sway voters.
Yeah, it's swaying voters towards Trump being impeached. He's going to win in 2024. They impeached Clinton. He won a second term. They impeached Andrew Johnson back in the 19th century, and he fucking won. Impeaching doesn't mean shit.
Doesn't.
It is a formal protest. Yes, I am aware what an impeachment is.
Yes, it is.
But the impeachment still goes on record.
But it doesn't affect the electorate.
Donald Trump. They love to brag about Donald Trump being the twice impeached president. Well, here's the thing. You impeach Joe Biden, it gives the people a wake-up call. Oh, well, they're going after Joe Biden. He's not going to get the same support as Trump did because of his impeachment.
No, it's going to look like retaliation, and people are going to get pissed about it. And that's what it is. Because people are like, you know what? There's enough problems in this world. We're retaliating by impeaching a guy because they impeached Trump. What does this do for us? Have you actually talked to somebody who's an actual voter of Biden? I have.
That is something that they will
I've asked a person, if you're not going to vote for Trump, what is the reason why? The last thing anybody has ever told me when it comes to not voting for Trump is because he's impeached. They're not going to vote for him because he's an egotist or because he's a racist or he's an asshole. They never say, I'm not going to vote for him because he got impeached twice.
Correct.
It's an official censure. You're right. It goes to the record. You're right. Does it look good historically? No, it doesn't. Does the general elector and normie give a shit? They don't. And history's proven that over and over and over again. Impeaching Biden gets us nowhere. Orange, I'd be right with you. If I thought for a fact, if we won, got control of the Senate, and two, they had the balls to actually remove him.
They don't.
Neither of those scenarios are true, and they're not going to happen.
Technically, the people have every actual capacity to remove our president without the authority of the Senate or the Congress. All they need is over 200 million, or all they need is a petition of over 200 million signatures of American citizens to say we want the president removed.
The greatest election in history of the United States was the last election at 150 million voters. You're going to get 200 million people, more than 2/3 of the United States, to agree on anything.
It is an
even if you had the signatures, Orange Hat, even if you had 200 million people that said they wanted to do it, okay, you trust the people that just did the last election to be the ones to make sure that the 200 million.
It has no choice but to go before the president's desk. And if it doesn't, then believe it or not, that is actually known as a declaration of war against the populace of the United States by the government. And they are automatically forfeit. The people now have every legal right to execute the entire government.
Oh God, my head hurts.
You're going off deep end.
I'm going off of our oldest laws, which are still on the books.
I know the Articles of Confederation, but here's the thing. Here's what we really need to do for a clean slate is a third Continental Congress. Convention of States has to be held, and we have to have because again, the system itself. We're looking at one aspect of it, the executive branch, that we have corruption at the highest level, but it's not just there. It is in the legislative, where every bill now is already written out by a lobbyist, by a corporate, the public-private partnership are doing that. And the executive side is, the judicial side is also corrupt when you have district courts that are, and even the state courts that are doing terrible things to people. And again, it's not just Trump. They do things that they're doing things to people like that poor lady that got arrested for praying in the Capitol during January 6th, going to go to jail. The system is broken. So then again, it's not as far reaching as what you're saying, Orange Hat, but to basically say no, we have to change the law formally, going back to the legal aspect of a third Congress, a convention of states, to basically say none of this anymore. Because again, people, when I hate it when people say, when I ask them, I go, what are the Bill of Rights? And they basically they incorrectly say it's the things that, the rights that the government gives you. No, it's not. It is the 10 things the government cannot do to you. Cannot do to you. You have inalienable rights
of the Constitution that the government cannot stop or change, even with a supermajority.
Correct. Yes. And also the perfect example of that is a few months ago, you had some idiot on CNN, some lady actually says, you know what MAGA believes in? They believe that the rights come from God. So these are Christian nationalists. They're Nazis because
yes, they actually do, but we're not Nazis for believing that.
Because it's not a belief. It's what's written, inalienable rights. And that's what I'm saying. They're not teaching this, and this goes back to the whole education system. That they're not teaching civics. They're not teaching a government. They're not teaching budgeting. Not teaching home ec. Not teaching a trade. They're just teaching to the test.
And I want to address Charles Privet, please.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
The Republic is not a failure. The current body that is infecting the Republic is a failure. A republic is based on a system of laws that, unfortunately, those in power are not abiding by. The idea of a republic, there was, or believe it or not, there's a historical conversation that went on. There once was a dream that was Rome, and if you ever spoke about it, it would vanish. Believe it or not, the idea.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. That's a great quote from a movie.
Yes, but it was also a historical quote.
Did you ever actually read Marcus Aurelius' comments? Because that's not actually how he viewed the Republic at all. Actually, Gladiator was a fictitious, very fictitious depiction of Marcus Aurelius. He didn't believe any of the shit espoused in that movie. As to whether the Republic has failed, well, when it ceases to actually continue to do what it's supposed to, which I think everybody on this panel would agree, you have to have only one conclusion, which is a failure. Now, whether you have maybe you want to have that third
have a failed government yet.
Yeah, it's failed. Okay. It's failed.
The idea of what it was meant to be by the founding fathers, it has failed in that one fundamental aspect, and that it's supposed to represent the American people, the electorate. It doesn't. It more often will support, or it will, give its attention to those who are lobbyists, or give their attention to smaller groups, or give their attention to, I mean, the Republican Party is a confederacy of a bunch of different kinds of groups. That's what it caters to anymore. The Republic was supposed to cater to.
So what option?
Yes, please interrupt me a third time and tell me what it is you'd like to say. I'll stop talking mid-sentence again. Please, Orange, tell us what it is on your mind.
It hasn't failed. And here's why.
That is why you interrupted me to say it hasn't failed.
No,
I'm in the middle of explaining it, and you're like,
you're saying that it has failed.
Then tell me how. Please tell me how it is not. Don't interrupt me. Don't give me a little bit of soundbite. It hasn't failed. You give me reasons. Don't quote some bullshit movie from 2000 that takes Marcus Aurelius out of context to somehow support your viewpoint of the American Republic in 2024. Give us a reason and back it up.
The Supreme Court has kept it from failing. They have stopped legislative and
you have been on the show in weeks prior going on about how the Supreme Court is corrupt, and the fact that they have allowed things to happen goes against your viewpoint, shows that the Supreme Court doesn't work. You yourself has said that because I've watched you and listened to you on this show. So don't sit here and now hold the Supreme Court up as the excuse what bullshit you have. Go back and listen to your own show. You're on here all the time, saying the Supreme Court has failed the Republic and failed the Republican Party, and these conservatives who were put on there by Trump, they were supposed to vote a certain way, depending on whatever it was you were discussing at the time, didn't. Yes, you have. I've heard you.
Haven't. And if I have, that was said out of ignorance.
With your Supreme Court.
I will tell you this right now. Yes, the Supreme Court, what I have said was that the justices that Trump have put on have ruled against him. Yes, there have been times where they have. What I didn't say was that they betrayed the people. Have they made some decisions I do not agree with? Absolutely, they have made or choices that I don't agree with.
So go back to the original topic. Tell us why the Republic has not failed. Stay on topic.
It is, again, because the Supreme Court has not allowed it to.
How?
The Supreme Court is the one check and balance that has stopped. It has allowed, or it has stopped, one, Joe Biden from erasing the Second Amendment, constantly shooting his, or constantly defeating him in court every time somebody has brought up the case against him. It has gone to the Supreme Court.
Joe Biden
Supreme Court has ruled against him.
Put through the loan forgiveness that the Supreme Court shot down. He ignored it and did it anyways.
And
so
he
don't
is
tell me the
continuing
Supreme
to
Court
be,
has worked and continues to do it in defiance of the Supreme Court. What has happened? Has he been arrested? No. Has anything stopped? No. The Supreme Court ruled that Texas couldn't go ahead and do things in Texas to stop the illegals.
And then they actually ruled again,
and they're keep going
in
and doing
support of Texas.
No, they ruled against the lower court, saying you have to stop and let them go ahead and find what they want to find. That's a completely different thing. The first time they came out and said that Texas cannot go ahead and enforce the border against the United States government, the federal government, because they are the ultimate judiciary of when it comes to who comes in the country and in what situation. Texas gave them the middle finger and did it anyways. That's two examples right now that I've just given you in the last month that the Supreme Court has not been able to uphold anything. Don't tell me that the Supreme Court is keeping the Republic together when they've done anything but. Give me an example now that shows how the Supreme Court's checks and balances has prevented Biden or anybody else and the Republic from falling. I've given you two to show you're wrong. Give me one to show you're right. You can't, because there isn't any. Case dismissed.
Well, see, I was saying that earlier. I was saying that our courts are not upholding the laws that we already have. So how can I have faith that we are going to have elections and that we are going to keep moving forward until January in case we get a new person? None of that, I believe, is going to happen because we have a corrupt judicial system. They're not upholding the Constitution.
Well, the way that the reason that the elections cannot be stopped is, number one, we have 50 individual states, and then the states, and we have congressional districts that will in these states and representatives for each. Illinois has 21. Texas has what 32 or whatever, and then they are going to continue to do these things. They're going to again. It'd be unprecedented. The only time that this would probably happen, a suspension or a stop could happen, is a late October surprise of a nuclear disaster, something very horrific happening.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to say real quick before you move on is when we were talking about earlier about what I think is going to happen. And what did I say? I said, I know for a fact because of watching some of those shows that we talked about with Tucker showing the Chinese camp and the other camp, the two camps that they found with people from other countries, people from Muslim countries that hate us and that say Allah Akbar, they want all of us dead, basically. Okay.
Right.
All we need is one of those people, just one out of the millions that have come over the border, just one person that has a dirty bomb to go to the right place and set it off after NATO says Ukraine is part of us. So now we declare war against Russia, and then a nuclear bomb, dirty bomb goes off somewhere in one of our big cities, Chicago, who knows where. Because I don't know where all these people are.
Yeah, but what
happens? We blame Russia, even though Russia didn't do it, because our government right now that's in control has been letting all these people just wander over the border and busting them to all the cities, and we're paying them. We're putting them up in hotels. We're feeding them. We're clothing them, and we're leaving our veterans in the streets homeless. Okay, that's where our government cares about. They don't care about us. They care about their agenda, and that's it. That's all they care about, and which is collapsing this country so they can complete control over everybody's lives. And they'll come and say, your house is intimate domain. Your house is intimate domain. Your house is intimate domain. So nobody owns shit. And that's what I think they're going to do. That's why I'm where I'm at now. That's why I have guns. And that's why I keep buying more ammo, because I'm going to die on my front porch trying to protect what little I have.
Right.
And I really believe that. I hate to say it, but that is exactly how I feel. And every single thing this government is doing is leading us down that tracks. I haven't seen a single thing or heard anything that you guys have said that has changed my mind about that, because they're doing it every freaking day. And it's getting more and more blatant.
That illegal immigration is a bad thing. I have not tried to convince you otherwise.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our government. Hating me and hating you and want you and I dead. They don't want our kids to have jobs. They don't want our kids to have anything. They want to take what you have earned and keep you from being able to give it to your child, because they want it. They're going to keep it and put who they believe deserves it more than you and I in it. That's what I believe.
So this goes back to squatters and dirty bombs and then blaming the Russians?
Yep. Basically,
I got a piece of paper. I'm drawing the line.
I'm hoping you're right. That's what I stay up at night thinking about. I worry about this because I do not trust this government. I don't. They want me dead.
Listen to my voice. My voice is very soothing. I am a soothing individual. I want you to listen to me. Ruben said earlier tonight about finding a thing to relieve your stress. I don't want you worrying about this. You're a nice lady. I don't want you worrying about the Russians and their squatter dirty bombs, sending people over here to get their eminent domain free rights.
I don't think it's the Russians. I think it's our government. They're going to blame Russia. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, I mean, they don't need any of this to blame stuff on Russia. They can just go ahead and do it. Kind of like the whole dirty bomb thing. They don't need to blame anybody. There are plenty of terrorist groups out there who'd be more than willing to go ahead and accept responsibility for anything that went off in our cities. But I don't want you to worry about it. Yes, our government has done some things, and I'm sure some of the government doesn't like us. I get that, but that's going on. NATO will never let Ukraine in while they're at war with Russia, and that is true. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier, because it will automatically bring everybody else into the war. And I don't think you're going to have.
I'm praying that
I am praying too. But I know your concern was that that'll be the reason why they're able to suspend elections. Like I said earlier, we've had 2 world wars, a civil war, and none of that ever suspended elections. They could drop a nuke on Washington, D.C. As sad as that would be, we would go ahead and have elections. I don't want you worrying about the Democrats or anybody else trying to prevent us from going to the polls. There are many things they can do. I would be more concerned about them double counting and voting the dead before I would worry about them.
Well, I'm worried about that.
To the polls.
They already did it once. So, unless we're all sitting at the polls counting ourselves, all of us that are sitting at home, working hard and paying taxes, we are going to be the ones that count.
Here's what I think they will do legally, going back to what Emperor said. Hopefully Emperor can agree, or at least there's a scenario that I have in my head that they can do. Mm-hmm. What they are going to do is start to talk about the idea that Trump and Trump supporters are going to try and do ballot harvesting. Everything that they did, they're going to accuse Trump and Trump supporters of doing. And when the election does happen and he does win, there's going to be a lot of investigation that's going to come out saying that how could Trump have won? And there'll be video of people voting and people doing the ballot dumps, but they'll do it legally. But they're going to add that mystery, and then you're going to have California, Oregon, like the old. Sorry, take it back. Let's say like the states in contention, the swing states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, any state that's controlled by a Secretary of State that is the Democrat is going to then contest the election, and you will have senators like from California, New York, and Congress people are going to say, we need to investigate this because we believe it's illegitimate. And they're going to do a January 6th in reverse, where they're going to basically, the electors are going to be this later, you'll have two different, you'll have fighting electors going to the poll, going to get it certified, and you're going to have a big hubbubaloo again in January 6th again. But this time
what
it's
happens
reversed.
almost every single time I've ever worked at the polls, which is a lot, okay, during presidential big elections when lots of governors and stuff are all running and senators and stuff. The thing is that usually when you get a Republican president, we don't take the House and and the Senate. We don't take both. Okay,
well,
we
that's
have
by
one.
design. That's just how the Americans look at it.
No, but what I worry about this time is that they know Trump's going to win, so they're going to take both.
Well, they would look. They're not going to wait for Trump to win. If they could take both, they would take both. They're not going to wait for somebody to. He might win. If they could take anything, they would take it. Now, I think
enough to take all of it, take both. Okay, enough seats, and we have so many people right now resigning. So we're down to what, 1 seat right now?
Something like that, yeah.
All right. So whether it's blackmail or whatever the reasons is, it's not looking good.
But look, let me bring up this, Janet.
Once they have both, once they have both, then whatever happens and Trump's in there and they want to impeach him or they want to throw him under the bus or whatever they want to do because they like whoever the vice president is or they own the vice president. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm just throwing this out there. And then they have enough votes to do whatever they want. Okay. Because they own both. Okay. That's what I'm saying. They have it all laid out. They already know what they're going to do. And the only way for us to stop it is to make sure that these people don't win.
Let me ask you this. Do you have any confidence in the Republican Congress in the last 2 years? Okay.
No.
Name me one major objective that they have stated and that they have accomplished.
Nothing.
Okay. So it really doesn't matter if the Democrats take back the House or not, because the Republicans we've had have done absolutely nothing with it. They've been obstructionist. That's it. Can you tell me one plank in the Republican platform, not just for the 2024 presidential election, but also for the Congressional and the Senate? One plank. Can you tell me one thing that has been put forward by the Republican Party as a goal that they want to achieve through the Congress, the Senate, and the president? There you go.
Yeah, but I've been saying this already, that they're full of rhinos. I think we have like 5 people, maybe 5 that I even know about that's even gives a shit. The rest of us.
You're right. There are rhinos. I think the Republican Party is very much a confederacy, and that you have a lot of different groups that come together under, basically one name, whereas the Democrats are in lockstep on pretty much everything from start to finish. The problem is that the only thing you're doing as a person, this kind of goes back to what this Charles guy said about the Republic not working. If you're voting for Republican, you're doing it simply to prevent the Democrats from getting it, not because you believe the Republican Party actually has any kind of goal. If the Republican Party had any kind of competency, the first thing they would do is they would start with the inner city, and they would start going around and actually talking to people and saying, this is what we are. This is what we want to do. This is what we can do to help you. That is something that the Democrats have beaten the Republicans for decades on the ground level. And historically, if you didn't know nothing about American politics and only went off of history, you would think, okay, well, clearly African Americans would vote for Republicans. They're the ones who freed the slaves. They're the ones that pushed through the Civil Rights Bill. They're the ones that got them the right to vote. And yet, today, that isn't the case. So it doesn't really matter to me if the Democrats are going to go ahead and cheat and put old man Biden back in there, or the Senate. At the top of the show, I said politics are local, and you can do more for yourself at the state and at the city level. You live in Arkansas, which is a red state. I live in Ohio, which is a red state. When Ruben mentioned that if they were going to cheat, you're going to have these different, secretaries of state that are going to go ahead and interfere in the election. Maybe they can do that if the vote is close enough at a federal level to tip it one way or the other. That's not going to happen in Ohio. It's not going to happen in Arkansas. Right. Worry more about your state legislature, your school board, because at the federal level, old man Biden can only do so much damage. All right. The biggest concern people would have right now, or should have, is the concern about gas cars and electric vehicles. That's going to affect all of us very quickly because the legislation he has just rammed through. Okay. The issue right now with not filling up the strategic oil reserve and the fact that it's going to affect gas prices for the summer months. This affects everybody at every level. These are things that should concern us. I'm not worried about the Democrats going ahead and quote unquote stealing an election, whether they stole the last one or not, whether they steal this one or not, because the alternative is the Republican Party, and they have shown that they are inept. And other than simply as a protest vote, that is all that they are. Worry about voting at your state level. Worry about getting a good. Look at what DeSantis has done, and look at what DeWine's done in Ohio and in Florida, respectively. A lot. And that's what improves your life. You worry about squatters. Biden's not going to pass any legislation about squatters. DeSantis did. DeWine's about to.
Yes.
A lot of other states are. So when it comes to, I'm trying to tie everything in that we've talked about tonight. You're concerned about blocking elections. Sorry, Ruben, I'm on a roll. Give me a second.
No. Okay.
That's okay. Go ahead.
The federal government may try to suspend elections, but like you said earlier, Janet, Arkansas might say, fuck it, we're going to do it anyways. I'll tell you right now, Texas will, Florida will, Ohio will. You had 25 states already signed up to back Texas against the federal government because of the illegals coming across. Not a single one of them is going to say, all right, well, I guess we're going to have elections because, whatever the reason is, if we can have world wars, if we can split the country in half and still have elections, there is no legal reason, and they still have to have one, for the government to go ahead and suspend that. These are concerns that I think that, and I don't mean to insult people, but the far fringe are concerned with. They're not legitimate reasons. There are plenty of things in this country right now to be worried about. Millions crossing the border right now who we don't know what they have with them, who they are, what their intentions are. That is a legitimate concern. The fact that we're all going to have to buy electric vehicles that cost 3 times what anybody can afford. They're going to cost $25,000 to replace the batteries 5 years in an electric grid that can't handle it. And God help you if you live in a cold climate or you get hit by a hurricane, because then you're shit out of luck. Those things should concern people. The impeachment thing that Orange Hat brought up earlier is irrelevant. Nobody cares. Trump got 76 million votes, 10 million more than he got the last time when he didn't have 2 different impeachments. The fucker right now is leading in most states and most generic polls. If people gave a flying fuck about impeachment, he wouldn't even be on the stage for a Republican debate rather than sweeping the board. And I'm not saying you should vote Trump. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm simply stating the fact that it does not matter. Vote local. Worry about setting up your communities first. If we can get the House, the Senate, and all that, awesome for us. Do I expect them to do much with it? No, because they've already proven they can't even figure out which speaker to put up there.
Right.
And I understand why so many people are resigning. Like the guy in Colorado who threw his hands in the air and said, fuck this, and nothing gets done. No kidding. Sorry, I ran at the mouth. Go ahead.
No, that's right. You're 100% correct. Yeah, and that's the whole idea. Because again, the only people that I trust theoretically, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Mike Lee, who is it, Rand Paul. It's a handful of people that are trying to do something.
5 or 6. Yeah.
That are trying to do something, and the other people are just just to get their bills from the lobbyists, and then they just vote on them, and then they again, we haven't had a budget. We've had continuing resolutions, omnibuses going on and on and on, and then at night 1,000 pages. What the hell is this crap? It's insane. It's insane, and again, the only way that you can
voted to give more money to Ukraine and other countries when we can't even put oil.
So, Emperor, to answer your question, that's what they agree on. They agree on sending more money to Ukraine, which is ridiculous. It's just insane.
Where's the money going to come from? See,
from the blood of our children.
I know, but
$37 trillion. It's a number. It's a fake number. And Charles Guy was right.
We're already in debt.
Well, of course we're in debt. So, why stop now? We're the addictive gambler right now who's got an unlimited line of credit at Caesars.
Their money. What are we going to give them to pay them back?
Yeah, but money's
pay who back?
Whoever we owe all the money to.
Hun, we owe the money to ourselves.
I know. And
85% of the debt is owned by Americans.
They're going to lose everything. They're going to take
our we sent a nice letter to JP Morgan, say, fuck off. We're not going to give you anything. And we've got guns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guess what? Debt canceled. You don't like it? You'll be a tank in your parking lot by noon.
Not everybody. I mean, I have four
paid for.
I have 4 sisters, okay, and they live in different places.
I'm sorry.
They have
I
their
feel
own
bad
house.
for you. I will pray for you.
I can get my gun and I can shoot.
Enough.
Okay, and I know how to load my gun and how to shoot my gun. And I think I have one other sister that actually knows how to pick up a gun and put her stuff in it and use it.
But then you can rob the other 2
sisters that are probably not going to survive if that ever happens. And I'm not there to help them. But what I'm saying is, and that's just a small portion.
Yeah, but
what about all the other people that can't defend themselves?
Yeah, but you don't need a gun. You don't need to defend yourself. You need to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. You just need to basically get up your. You already have it set up. You have your eggs. You have your chickens.
That's what I've been
Everybody should get a 1911.
I believe that my government hates me. I still pay my taxes. I still don't speed. I don't break the law because I believe in the letter of the law. Because I don't want to be a hypocrite and tell people not to do this and not to do that.
I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world, then.
Okay, but the thing is, I don't trust them. I honestly believe that they thought they could get away with it. They would come to my house and cut my throat and take my stuff. I really feel that way. That's how useless I am to them. Basically, the only thing I'm good for is give them money because I'm still pay taxes. That's it. Besides that, they could care less whether I'm dead or alive, above ground or below ground. That's it. They don't care. And I don't think they care about anybody else unless you're giving them big cheddar or you're sucking their dick or bending over the countertop for them. That's it. That's
fair point. I would care if my dick was getting sucked.
Well, what I mean is that's
no. Let's not change the subject. Let's stay there. It's a comfortable subject. It's one I feel that we have not talked about enough.
I am tired of it, and I don't trust them.
Well, I am not tired of the dick sucking. I have not had enough of mine. If you are
I've never had
lady, go ahead and apply. Hit me up afterwards. Listen,
but it's terrible. But
it is terrible. I to Ruben's point, do you have to own a gun to defend yourself and do all these things? No, I think on a personal level, I think you should, for the reasons you just stated, because of look, you should defend your house or know how to defend your house, not because you're expecting a Russian invasion or Red Dawn 3 or the illegals getting uppity, because you're afraid of somebody breaking your house or somebody assaulting you while you're on your dog walk,
and trying to take what I have. And I don't have a lot of money to pay for lawyers to try to keep my house from having squatters.
Well, don't leave your house in case a squatter gets.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Where people are afraid to go anywhere, go on a trip, go see their mom or their dad or their sister or their brother or their cousins, or go on a trip that they've been planning for 2 years, saving money. They're afraid to leave now.
But that's extreme.
I think that's really giving into panic. I don't think there's enough of this going on, and this goes back to what I said earlier about the media and the internet amplifying these things.
So people are thinking about it.
Yeah, but that's the extreme situation.
There are some people.
I know that. I don't think anybody's going to come. I live in the middle of nowhere. People, so
you're safe.
If anybody
there are
even
people still building bunkers because they're expecting a nuclear holocaust, as if that will save them.
But we got a lot of people up in arms and everything because we have the eclipse coming up on Monday. So people are freaking out over that. And then we had
who is freaking out about the eclipse?
Tons of people.
Idiots,
really? Dum-dums, thinking that it's the end of the world and stuff like that. I'm like,
they think Jesus is coming back.
A very small strip that's only going over a certain amount of states and so many towns in that state. That's it.
Eclipses happen all the time. We just don't always see them on this side of the planet.
Correct. I know.
But
the thing is, on top of that, with all the other bad things that are going on when it comes to the earthquakes, the tsunami that happened, and a few other things like that, people are putting that all together and think that it's
But that hit the Chinese. God isn't mad at us; He's mad at them, and with good reason.
Well, maybe.
He didn't send just one; he sent 2 7.5 Richter earthquakes.
Did you guys
he wanted to make sure he got the job done.
the lightning that struck the flame of the of our Statue of Liberty?
It happens all the time.
I know, but it happened right after the earthquake. I thought
Yeah, it looked kind of cool.
Before.
Kind of interesting that,
that
you know, certain things
fist
are
bump
happening.
from God.
Mm-hmm.
Look, since we brought that up about the earthquakes in Taiwan, let's segue into my other article about the Chinese.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let me open it for you real quick, and then you can talk about it.
By the way, is Orange Hat coming back?
I don't know. I'll have to check my Discord and see if he sent me a message.
Okay. Well, why don't you do that real quick? I'm going to pull up this article.
Okay, you should be able to get it to go up and down and everything like you need.
Okay.
Can you?
Well, this one's about Iran, and we can go that one too. And this kind of goes with the gas hike you may see coming this weekend. Bottom line, the Israelis hit Damascus today, and they took out a couple of the Iranian high command, some generals and some shit. Basically, they create addition by subtraction, by removing some bad people from the world. And in doing so, Iran now has their reason to go ahead and threaten to attack American and Israeli assets as early as next week, according to what the Americans, anyways, intelligence services are saying. And the Americans were quickly to point out through their embassy to whomever, to the Iranians, hey, we had nothing to do with it. I don't understand why we kowtow at all to the Iranians. I don't know why we seem to tiptoe around them or worried about a regional issue. If they step out of line, you smack them back down. That is what we've always done, and that's what we should do here. But because they're threatening to attack Israel and American assets, including anything carrying oil through the Strait of Hormuz, all of a sudden now that is the concern, that gas prices will go up because now we're going to go into another even larger pissing match with the Iranians. But this is what's come down to. The Iranians continue to go ahead and give a free hand to give out material and aid and money to all these different terrorist groups that continue to hammer not just us, but also the Israelis. And for some reason, this administration continues to try to placate the Iranians and make them seem like there's some kind of world power on a same par as us. And they're not. You know, at the same time, we're telling the Israelis, if you don't have some kind of concrete ceasefire in place, well, we're not going to back you anymore. But if the Iranians hit you, okay, well, we still have your back. The foreign policy administration to me is extremely confusing. And if it's confusing to me, I have to imagine it's probably confusing to a lot of other people, especially overseas, because we are giving a lot of mixed messages. And the mixed message we're giving is, well, we don't want the Iranians to do anything. We're kind of afraid of them. We don't want to get into a pissing match, but you know what? We'll back Israel if we have to. If Iran hits an American ship, blow up something in Iran, don't go after one of their terrorist groups or their different militias in Syria or somewhere else. If they want a direct confrontation, then you need to slap them back down like the bitch they are. Going after the Houthis or Hezbollah or Hamas or the Islamic Jihad or any of these other ones aren't going to do anything, because the Iranians don't care if one of their splinter groups gets smacked. They will care if you will blow up something in the Iranian Guard, if you shoot down some of their planes, if you hit and kill some of their more generals. I'm not advocating an increase in hostilities or region conflict. I am saying that if you're going to continue to make Iran seem like the boogeyman, that there is a bigger threat to us as the Russians or the Chinese would be, that they're going to continue to act because they're emboldened, because they think they have to, and they think they can. And anything they do, you're going to amplify in its importance by making it out to be, we tried to prevent the Iranians, but they went ahead and hit us anyways. And we're not sure what we want to do because we don't want to escalate it into a regional conflict. Iran has no allies in the region. Everybody hates their guts. The Saudis, the Jordanians, even most of the Syrians can't stand the Iranians. The Iraqis don't. But this is what this is talking about, is that we could expect an attack from Iran as early as next week because the Israelis hit Damascus and killed a bunch of their generals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's the article. That's what
I know.
Into.
So
your reactions, back to you.
What do you think is going to happen with that mess?
Okay, I thought I had covered
No,
that.
I mean your personal point of view.
My personal point of view is just as I said. If the Iranians do go ahead and try and hit an American asset, we need to hit them directly.
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying you need to drop a nuke on Tehran, but taking out one of their air bases, taking out one of their nuke plants, I don't know, throw a carrier group in the Strait of Hormuz and say, all right, send your little speedboats, something along those lines.
Wow.
Bottom line is, the Israelis don't really need us to go ahead and win their conflict. We have no business involving ourselves in that. Give them some missiles and stuff if we need to, but just like Ukraine, that ain't our problem, Jack. I'm sorry?
I thought we were doing that already.
Sure, we are doing that. We're also dropping supplies to Hamas. We're also building a port that we can start getting more supplies. We have special forces there. We have 2 different carrier groups. We don't need to get involved in this. Take the chains off the Israelis and let them handle their business.
We can't refill our reserves, but we're still spreading money to all these countries that hate us and want us dead. That to me is ridiculous. I don't understand why we're doing any of that.
There is one, in my opinion. There are 3 current conflict zones, 2 active, 1 inactive. Only one of those should we as Americans be concerned with. If Russia overruns Ukraine tomorrow, how does that affect you or me?
It shouldn't affect me at all.
If Israel wipes out Hamas tomorrow and pushes every Palestinian out of the Gaza Strip and sends them to the West Bank, or says, you know what, now we're keeping it and we're going to rebuild this place, how does that affect you or me?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Now, is the world improved because Hamas is gone? Absolutely. Will I shed a tear for them? Hell no. I'll dance a jig, bad leg and all. Neither of those should we be worried about. We have spent far too much money getting involved in both of those. The Israelis are kicking the hell out of them. They don't need us. If Iran wants to get uppity, fine. Then we can step in if we want. Which leads to the other article. The inactive zone, the one that I am concerned about, is Taiwan. Because if Taiwan falls to China, that affects you and me in a very direct way. Everything we use that uses a chip of any kind, your car, your phone, this computer, this god-awful microphone that takes all the bass out of my voice and sounds like shit, uses a chip. Almost all of them are made in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Taiwan represents 1/4 to 1/3 the technology that China currently has. Taking over that one island would put them on par technologically with almost everybody, ourselves included. If you're going to make a stand somewhere, that is where you have to do it.
Now, the question or the comment I have regarding that then is, I think it's very unlikely that China would try and get Taiwan. There has to be something other than that, because right now China is not doing as well as we think they may be doing. And there are a lot of conflict going. There's a lot of not political conflict, but economic conflict going on. And that is why in China right now is what they're trying to do is they're doing the BRICS. They're trying to work with Brazil, working with Russia, working with who else? The BRICS countries.
India.
Yeah, India. Sorry, to decouple from the dollar. And that, because again, they're economically not doing very well. So just same thing with Japan. Japan's not doing very well. We're not doing very well. It's all inflated. The dollar is basically, in the stock market is being manipulated in a way that is just manipulating. It's helping everybody out. All this conflict is going on is really economic conflict. It's done. Ukraine is the economic, is Israel's economic and religious in a way for land, all that stuff, and oil. It's a conflict there. But yes. The Ukrainian conflict and the Israeli conflict are the lower tier. Taiwan gets more eyes on it. Emperor is right. But the fact that China going to Taiwan right now would be suicidal in a way, because they want to thrive more. And how can they take? Because again, who's buying all the debt? Who China is?
We do.
Who is? Yeah, I know.
China owes less than 9% of our debt.
Correct. So that's what they're doing. So then why would they want a conflict? Again, it goes back to what Orange had said, the whole idea that mutually assured destruction, that we don't want to go have this conflict either. So something else has to happen. But again, that's what I'm saying. Right now, we have to care about ourselves, what we are doing with our lives every single day, take care of ourselves, and it's all, again, all bottom up. So circles back to your argument, Janet. Trump, Biden, one man is not going to change anything in the big scheme of things. It's not about Trump. Mankind's never been about Trump, in my opinion. It's always been about, hey, make America great again. You know who is responsible for that? Who's responsible for making America? I am. You are. The individual is.
Yes. Us.
Yes, we have to do it. And that's the whole idea. And that's what we have to do every single day. I'm fighting every day to battle my illness. I have something to live for now, and I'm going to do that. That's the whole thing. So the shit show we're dealing with are these little things, but we can't let them get us out of control. If you have a homestead and you like your scenario is you live in Arkansas, you can carry a gun. No one's going to squat on you. Because again, they know that, oh shit, they're armed. Your state is a state that's going to not allow that. California, they made their choice. That's why California is losing people. $20 minimum wage. They're closing shops. They're firing people from fast food chains, and they're leaving. People are leaving in droves. It's going to die. Let it die. I don't care. You want to live there? It's your state. You fix it. You know,
it should be that way, but we're going to end up bailing them out like we have. I don't know how many times already.
And that's the true thing. That's the concern I do have, because in the grand scheme, but we haven't got there yet. That they may basically say, well, we need the funds because we're too big to fail, and they'll do the same thing they did in 2008. Where they'll do it on a state level if things get worse economically, and it's not fair to a Texas who has a good robust economy, or Florida who has a robust economy too. Again, no taxes in these two states, and they're thriving. And you go or tax to death in New York, and you tax to death in California. But again, it's all about local. Take care of yourself and what you're doing with your family. And again, don't send your kids to school. Change the whole mentality. Like I told her that when we get married, and she's already agreed, I want her at home. You're going to be at home. And if she wants to work, she can, but it's all going to be about in service of the family, us, the unit here, and then the community. We're going to try to find a place to live that's going to be close to her parents, or have her parents come with us or whatever, so we can have a community. Because again, it's bottom up, not top down. Top down is too ornery, too screwed up, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
Well, you're right. The thing is, I'm still worried because I don't trust our government, but I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up. Every single thing I do in my own life is to try to fight for my state, fight for my family, fight for my rights, and to better myself, and to try to learn as much as I possibly can. And I wish more people would want to do that. But people just rather not know anything and not be informed about anything, because then they don't have to worry about it. You know, if you don't see it, then you don't know it's even happening, right? So a lot of people like it that way. They don't want to know what's going on. They just want to be in the la la land.
The country, as it was founded, had that as its ideal. And this kind of goes back to what we were discussing about the failure of the republic or not. And the gentleman, what was his name? Privacy or something, Charles, whatever, had said that, the republic had failed, that you're putting a Band-Aid on a broken system. And to a degree, he's right. The idea behind it was that we would elect officials that would go into the government and would take care of things for us so that we wouldn't have to worry about it. In the Midwest, we have our way of looking at politics, which is leave us the hell alone. If there's a war on, call us. Until then, we put you there to do the job yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can say that it's irresponsible of Americans to have allowed things to get into a point because we took our foot off the pedal. We stopped keeping an eye on what was going on. And we assumed that the people we were putting in charge were the ones that were actually going to do the job and take care of things, administer the country for us. And there is some validity to that. But it was never intended to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, it isn't so much that they don't want to deal with it. It's a lot of it, they don't understand. A lot of people aren't perennially online. To circle back from an hour and a half ago, they don't know a lot of what's going on at a social level. They sure as hell don't understand what's going on at a foreign level with, our foreign policy, because we elected people to go ahead and take care of that for us. And those people have failed to do the job well, which is why we find the country the way it is. Now, am I a gloom and doom that the country is completely falling apart, that we're in the nadir of the American empire, that we've gone the way of Rome? No, I don't think we're that far gone. And I think anybody who kind of jumps on that train, and I know there's people on the show that espouse that viewpoint, I think that's a little bit more alarmist.
Yeah.
But to your point, Janet, if the average person doesn't start paying more attention to what's going on, we're going to get to that point very quickly. 7 million people across the border in less than 2 years. Inflation through the roof because we continue to print money. No real grasp of how to bring that inflation down. A foreign policy that confuses the shit out of every single person, including our own allies.
Mm-hmm.
Decisions that are made and you wonder why. I mean, the politicians were supposed to be answerable to us. They're not. So I see that the Republic has failed in these ways. And we can say that it hasn't failed completely because America continues to chug on. Well, there's a lot of inertia. I mean, you can shoot an elephant a dozen times. It's not going to die right away. It takes time. Rome didn't fall right away. Rome lasted on until the 15th century.
Yes.
But it almost died a few times until somebody got it in order. We're in that same boat. And for those people who are thinking that Trump is the magic bullet, he's not.
Mm-mm.
He's what we got. But even if he comes to power, unless he's got both houses, he's only got 4 years. There's only so many things he can do. Even if he has a grasp of what needs to change or what needs to be done in this country. And he's going to have to face some serious headwinds.
Yeah.
So has the Republic failed? I think it has failed in the duties that it was intended by the Founding Fathers based on their own writings.
Mm-hmm.
The president was never supposed to be a king, and he most certainly is these days. When you can write with the flourish of a pen and you can put into law whatever you like, as Biden did, as Trump has done, as every president has done, more and more and more. That was never the idea.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the only solution is to elect or get involved and elect people at your representatives to make and you get them out, change it. And that's why I was saying that the Third Continental Congress is the nuclear option per se.
It goes further than that. Ruben, you've hit the nail on the head, but it goes further than that.
I know it goes further than that.
We need people of quality to step up and do these things. Let me ask you this, Ruben. If you could run for president tomorrow, would you do it? Knowing that they will pick through every single thing you've ever done or said in your life, you would?
Yeah, I would now because again, my story, I don't know if you know it or not. Basically, I lost everything. My wife passed away in 2019. I got extremely sick from a very rare autoimmune condition, and I basically rejected the doctor said, and I've been healing myself slowly for the past 6 years now, and I literally don't have anything. I don't own anything anymore. I don't have anything. I'm looking for work, looking for rebuilding my life, but it's very difficult because it's very hard to walk. And I don't care anymore. I basically tell people, I use my real name because I don't care anymore about me. It's not about me anymore. I want to help humanity. That is my goal. I know the dangers of AI and technology, what's going on here. I know what's going on. I don't use Microsoft. I don't use Apple. I know what they're doing. And I want to write algorithms and show people that there's a different way of doing things. And it all comes down to, I said it before, and I said it about a year ago. I actually said this, is I feel the presence. I don't know if you're gonna like me or not. I feel the presence of a divine power all the time now. And it basically said, let go of everything and just rebuild your life, which I'm doing. And
I'm glad you're listening to me. I've only been saying it for how long?
but here,
go ahead.
But I'm saying here, and then the thing is that the true nature is everybody has to take responsibility for what's going on. If you don't like what's going on in the world and you want to complain, look in the mirror and say, it's my responsibility. I did something. It's my fault.
But it's not fair, because the average person doesn't want to do these things. They don't want to run for Congress. They don't want to run for mayor. They don't want to run for council. Why? Because everything they've ever said or done is gone with a fine-tooth comb.
Correct.
By somebody in the media or their opponents or whomever. Correct. And something's taken out of context. Next thing you know, now they're a racist. Now they're a homophobe. Now they're Islamophobe. Now they're a whatever. Nobody wants that kind of scrutiny. Nobody wants their life being picked apart like that so that they can run for a public office to help people out. And that's the problem and that's what we've lost. Is the average person, which again, that is how things were intended to be, that the average person would step up for public service for the greater good. And nobody wants to do that. And I don't blame them. I don't want to fucking do it. I don't want somebody going through my Twitter feed or my Facebook or, some chick I took on a date with 20 years ago who thought I grabbed her ass in the dark and then said that I was sexually assaulting her while shoving a beer into her hand, but she couldn't remember what I looked like and can't remember the movie. That's what it all comes down to. They see these show trials like Kavanaugh went through and, and Trump to a degree and whomever. Nobody wants that kind of scrutiny because nobody wants to be out to be made into a bad guy. Look, man, I just wanted to be dog catcher. I didn't know you're going to take my tweet out there that said, you know what? I think these rioters shouldn't be trying to burn down liquor stores. All of a sudden, I'm a racist and I don't like George Floyd and I'm against Black Lives Matter. I just want to catch dogs. That's what it starts. It's hard to say that in Hammer, we need the average American to do these things. The average American has to worry about their family, their job, their health. It has to worry about a lot of shit. The last thing they want to do is be dragged through the public square,
correct,
online in the media because they're running for Congress, only to find out that, what he said about cats? Oh, he doesn't like cats. He hates animals. Well, then he obviously hates the left. He doesn't like vegans. That's how that thing goes.
I know.
And we've allowed that as a society to happen.
It's a cancer. It's a cancer.
It is a cancer.
Well, guess what? I'm different than the rest of the society. And I know there's other people like me. I just got another notice that I'm going to might be picked again for jury duty, but I go there and sit. It's boring as shit just to get interviewed, to see if I get interviewed. And other people have been doing it with me every single time I've gone in. And this is my last month up till the end of this month to do this. And a lot of people told me just, opt out. Don't even go. Just tell them you're sick or tell them you don't want to do it or you have a job or make up whatever answer you have. But guess what? I didn't do any of those
racist
things.
Against all races. That's
because
the one
I still believe in doing this for my country because it's the right thing to do. Because it
good for you. Goody two shoes, Janet.
It's
throw black people in jail. She said it, and you heard it. She wants to be on the jury to throw every black person in jail. That is what she has just said. It's on record
what if
now.
It was one of you two, and you needed 12 people to sit on a jury.
So they're going to look at me and say, "This guy's an asshole." I'm sunk. I know that. Going in, I'm going to be sitting there. I'm just going to be staring him down like this guy's going to jail. I don't know what he did. I'm going to vote against him.
I know because I sat in a huge room with 80 people. 80 people sitting there waiting our turn to be called in to be interviewed to see whether or not we were going to pick for a jury. So I know I'm not the only one. And that gave me hope. That gave me hope to believe that there's other people that want to fight for this country as mad as I do, and we all care about what happens to the truth, in court, which I don't have faith outside of this little town that I'm in right now about whether we have fair elections or anything, but I'm trying to get it back by listening to this judge. And when we're interviewed and we listen to the DA and we talk about the different case, that we find out what it is when we go in. But the thing is that we, just like you said, and I say it every week, it's up to us, you and me, and the rest of us that pay taxes, take care of our kids, pay our bills, and be good to our parents, take care of our families. That's us. And we're all that's left. It's between you and I and them taking everything from us. That's it. That's all we have. And if we don't fight for what we want and what we think we deserve, then we won't have anything. That's to me, that's a fact. So
it's easy to sit here and for all three of us or four of us earlier to say this is the thing that needs to happen in this country. These are the steps we need to take. And it's a very different thing to actually get people to move in a direction, myself included. I wish I had a magic bullet solution. I wish I even had small solutions. The idea is, like you said, well, you're starting small with, attending your jury because you hate black people. And I get that.
You are now. Right now, you are doing that by speaking the words you spoke tonight. People hearing you that might not have heard it the way that you just explained it to them. Now,
I'm sure I inspired people to run for Congress come Monday.
But no, honestly,
this emperor guy, he's speaking a lot of sense. The fucking Chinese, those Iranians,
information, getting people to listen and understand what's happening. It makes people make different decisions. It changes people's points of view.
God, I hope you're right.
Now you might. I want to believe that so bad. And that's the only thing that keeps me going is that I believe that people are trying to start doing the right thing. That's like what I just showed with the father at the school board.
What keeps me going?
That's it. No, I don't know. Food.
If my country collapses, then I'll fight for my state. If my state collapses, then I'll fight for my city. And if my city collapses, then I'll fight for my side of the street.
That's the whole.
That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Is because at some point I have to hope that enough people with actual authority and power step around and look around and like, all right, we need to put the brakes on this and reverse it. It's one thing to have, and I appreciate you for, giving me verbal, fellatio about, well, they heard your voice and that changes things. It's nice to think about, but I hope from your lips to God's ears, I hope that there is somebody that hears this and, is able to step in and change things. I wish I had that solution, for employment reasons. There's a lot of things I can't do, to help out in a government way.
Many other people are in the same boat as you.
You don't want me in charge though. The last person that you want me in charge of everything is me, because I don't want to be a president. The name I use should give you a clue. See, that's what the extreme far right is. Everybody likes to say it's fascism. It isn't. That's a left thing. Fascism and communism is the extreme left. Monarchianism is the far right. You put me in charge in a year, and I'll have reversed a lot of the problems. The problem is a lot of the people won't be here anymore. I'll ship out everybody. I'll make penal colonies. We're bringing back Australia, baby. We'll send them there.
I don't think there's any islands out there left that don't have people on them.
What is Australia going to do to us? Guess what? 30 or 40 million new refugees. But I wish I had more solutions to actually give people of things they can do to, turn things around. I guess it starts with knowledge. Pay attention to what's going on. Read. And I understand that it's very difficult because there's a lot of the legacy media that is extremely biased and their own political looking at things, on both sides, although it's almost exclusively on the left. And who's got the time to do all that, to try and parcel through all the bullshit to find the few nuggets of actual truth to find out what the hell is going on? It's hard. And it's frustrating. And that's what keeps me up at night, Janet, is not that I'm worried about them canceling elections or going to a world war. What keeps me up is national apathy, national vapor lock, where you have the normal person looking around saying, we have so many problems, we don't know which way to turn, which one to start with, or how to even begin. $40 trillion debt. Can you truly understand what that means? I can't. It's a number. 7 million illegal immigrants crossing the border who we don't know where they are or where they ultimately end up, on top of the 30 million for the last 10 years. Are we going to, how do we deal with that? How do we, get rid of these people because they're not here legally? How do we close the border? People don't understand. How do we deal with, an antagonistic Russia, an antagonistic China, an antagonistic Iranian? The average person looks like, I don't know, nuke them. That's not a solution.
No.
They're taking our gas-powered cars away from us. And people are going to be scraping together trying to get $60,000 for a garbage electric vehicle. I mean, people look at this and said, well, what the hell am I going to do about this?
I'm not going to do that crap. I'll fix up an old car.
Bring back horses.
Which won't matter, Ruben, if they don't let you buy gas anymore.
I will. I'll figure a way to power the car any other way. I'll
hydro cars.
Yes.
But most Americans, 90%, don't have this knowledge and don't have solutions to any of those things.
Correct.
And that's what keeps me up, because I don't know where to direct them either.
Yeah,
I don't have all the answers, and I wish I did.
I actually have it here. I'm just doing my designs for stuff.
Well,
I actually have it. Yeah.
I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight to discuss these little items on our agenda. Yeah, I know you've been working on that for a little while.
Yeah.
And one day people will get to see it, hopefully working.
Yeah.
But all I can say is to just pray a lot, because I do believe in Jesus, and I do pray a lot. But I just want people to realize that if we don't step up, nobody else is going to step up.
God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't look to Christ to try and correct the problems we've created for ourselves. Look in the mirror and figure it out.
Yeah.
Let him worry about the big stuff.
Take responsibility.
Janet, I appreciate the invite for sitting in on your show tonight. I hope I was at least mildly entertaining. I plan on taking this microphone back immediately and just breaking out my old professional set if I have to, because this thing, from my understanding, from what people have told me, makes me sound like shit.
I think you sound fine.
I do not sound like I have to get all my Alesis board and my microphones and all that out. It's all packed away.
Well, if you sound as good as you sound right now to me, and if you get a better radio, then it's like, well, then you should be on
There's a
radio.
lot more bass in my voice. And yes, I should have been on radio. I did this for a long time.
Oh, okay. I've heard the no.
He's got a good voice. He's got a good voice.
I could say I heard the voice before, but I'd be wrong. But it's like you have a voice for radio.
I think I've been on here a couple times briefly. I wasn't here very long.
Yeah, he's been on a couple times.
At any rate, I appreciate the invite.
But I appreciate both of you guys joining me tonight, and I appreciate Orange Hat, even though he was having computer problems and stuff.
Yes, I'm sure it was the computer that was the problem.
Yeah, I sent him a message.
Cease and desist? Okay.
No, he hasn't responded yet on X. But
shocking.
The thing is, I just want to say thank you to everyone in the chat that hung out with us and listened to us rant about things that we are passionate about. I know I'm passionate about it. I can't help it. I wish I wasn't. So I wish I was more like my sisters and just went, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just not going to talk about it. And that's what they did.
Yeah, but the thing is that what we're trying to say is that you're concerned at the upper level. Your concern should be at the lower level. Just concerned about your life.
Is. That's why I signed up to work the polls, and I always do. And I do a lot.
Cheating for our side. All right.
And I'm working for right now. I'm on a jury pool, so I can't really, do a lot because I'm waiting for them to send me an email or give me a phone call to be ready to be on the pool, which I'm going to be Tuesday morning. I got to be.
You're doing your part.
Ready to go. But the thing is, I wish more people had the freedom, I guess, from their jobs and things like that, because I have a very flexible job, to be able to, work the polls and do certain things that like I'm able to do. I wish more people could do that, because I really feel that if more of us could do something to actually make a difference,
like you said, start small. You know what? Worry about setting up your house and defending your house. Go to church, buy yourself a 1911, learn how to shoot it.
On food.
Stock up on food. Buy some of that food emergency stuff that Glenn Beck pimps out all the time, because I'm sure that'll totally show up when the post office breaks down and civilization is falling apart. You can still get that food.
I've even opened packages.
Buy gold, because the economy could collapse tomorrow. You know what? Go to Gold Farmers of America. Buy gold now, because next week when the Iranians attack us, our currency is going to fall through. You're going to want that gold, because you can turn that gold into food.
In your house, the gold will be somewhere else, and and if you have a giant gold bar, okay, and you're carrying it around with you, thinking it's going to help you, how are you going to
use it as a weapon? You can club somebody with it.
Well, you need coins and things like that. Small.
I got news for you, sunshine. If everything collapses, it ain't gonna be gold that saves your ass. You're gonna need food. You're gonna need ramen noodles and shotgun shells. That's what your currency is gonna be.
And alcohol.
You know, my plan isn't to bunker up. I'm taking over my neighborhood and I'm spreading out. All right.
Yeah,
I've already circled several cities next to me. I'm gonna become a regional warlord. That's my plan. I ain't gonna starve. Somebody else is going to, not me. The west side of Cleveland's mine.
Name Lucille. Is that what you're gonna do too?
Oh gosh.
What was that? What?
You're gonna carry a bat named Lucille?
No, I actually have a name for my bat. Actually, her name is Holly, but yes. It says Easton, but it's really Holly.
Well, that's from The Walking Dead.
Yes,
right.
I know.
Okay.
I don't watch bad TV shows.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much. And I really appreciate everybody that showed up and hung out with us in the chat. And thank you, Ruben, for hanging out with me again. Another week down. And so next week, I'll be back next Friday. And hopefully you guys will join us. And thank you very much. Really, really, really appreciate all of you.
Have a good night.